Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types. Why don't you say hello?
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And for those keeping score at home, this is episode 47, I do believe. I know it's a big deal knowing what the next number is. So, um, anyway, hopefully you're having a good week. Hopefully you can get into live and play the game. Most people can. Not everyone, though, unfortunately, and hopefully Pokemon addresses that. They have not yet, so I'm guessing it's not going to happen this calendar year as the year wears on, but that is what it is, I suppose. But let's talk about things that we can consider, and that is mechanics, right?
Yeah.
That's
Well, actually, I want to talk
oh
about. You mentioned live. They recently had an
yes,
update. I
they
believe they
did.
fixed. Well, do you read the patch notes? I did not, but did you?
I did. Yes, they fixed. They didn't do. It wasn't a big fix like I was hoping it was going to be,
Mm.
but they did fix the toad scroll, which you had been fussing about that.
Yeah, I did see. I was playing. My opponent used Pokestop, and it looked different. It discarded the cards and then brought them back, which was what I was assuming.
Okay, so that's doing correct. And I think they were going to fix some of the sudden death mechanics, I believe.
Okay.
Um, I don't. I think you still only have one prize card, which isn't correct.
No,
But
I was looking up about sudden death. I recently actually played sudden death, and we were with like
in
someone in
live,
person. Well, in person.
oh IRL. Okay, yep.
And we were like arguing, and I think it's very hard to figure out what the right ruling is. From what I can
Okay.
understand, it is generally one prize. You put out one prize,
Oh, it's. Oh, okay.
but in tournament settings, and when people actually do it, they do all six prizes, and so you have to get ahead on prizes, which actually means
Mm,
it's not take the first prize, but it's beat up. So if you use something that gives your opponent an extra prize, you would also win. I don't know. It's
mm.
super
Or if
hard
you
to
then played.
find.
Okay, so it's not clear. Well, I guess it's probably obviously there's the rules for how to run a tournament, but they don't actually apply outside of a tournament structure. So, and that's probably where the ruling is about the six prizes. So maybe live got something correct.
Maybe it's very hard to see. Obviously, it's not like a super common thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. If
Y-
anyone like, I don't know if anyone has a link to like current official ruling, because there are a bunch of rulings that I think were official, but I think they've changed the rulings throughout the history like a bunch.
mhm.
So yeah, if anyone knows the official like rule that's like fully explained, because
Mhm.
usually when people say it, they just say it's to a very like you do it's a one prize game, but that doesn't mean it's a, but does that mean it's a game where you lay out one prize or where you um take one
Lay out
prize?
six and you just
Yeah.
take one of the six.
So I think in the official rules it says it's a one prize game. And that's what pretty much everyone says and refers back to, but it's
Mhm.
not clear. That doesn't actually explain it. So yeah.
Right, because I recently had it with sudden death because I was playing. Well, one of them was where you flip a coin, your opponent's Pokemon's knocked out. So
Oh
that
yeah,
was
coughing, right? Or
was that
wheezing.
what wheezing? Yeah. So you get a few sudden deaths going that way, and you get there, and you go to one card, and I got second, one prize, and I got my supporter for turn was Roxanne, and it was not a happy experience for me.
Oh wait, oh they Roxanne you.
No, I mean not Roxanne. It was Iono. Sorry, I had Iono. So
Yeah.
I Ionoed for one because I didn't have anything else to do. But I didn't have a lot of hope at that point in the
Yeah,
game
okay.
because then they were getting their second turn. They had a couple cards in play, and it wasn't. Hey, I mean, with that deck I was playing, I probably wasn't going to win it anyway. But anyway, certain things like you couldn't use. I think like Squawkabilly wouldn't work or things
Oh
like that.
yeah.
Could use Battle via P pass. There was questions like that. Some things worked your first turn, and some things didn't in sudden
Yeah.
death.
Fun thing about Squawkabilly, for a little while I was playing a bunch of Entei Iron Valiant, which plays Squawkabilly
Hmm.
in Metacham. So obviously
Yep.
Squawkabilly, you use it on your first turn of the game. And then
Right.
Metacham obviously gives you another turn, right?
Yep.
But if you, I think you kind of see where this is going. If you Squawkabilly and then you Metacham, it lets you Squawkabilly again on your next turn, which is wrong.
Right. It's your second. Your opponent hasn't had their second turn, but it's your second turn.
Yeah, it's not like you can take. I don't. I'm almost certain that's wrong. I'm not 100% certain that it's wrong, but it
Hmm.
seems wrong. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, and you do draw for turn, right? So
yeah,
therefore, I think
you
it's got to be
it
this a
y-
new turn.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think.
unless there's some like weird definition to new turn, like multiple different definitions to new turns, but I don't think there is.
Right.
So yeah, I think the way that live counts turns is just wrong. And we don't have a game log, but if we did, I think we would see that it's just it's like fundamentally wrong, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and the sequencing and stuff, which you said they've now cleaned up with the Pokestop, right? Goes the discard back to hand. It was just putting the items directly into hand. So they're taking shortcuts that work most of the time, but then cause trouble. Like I've said before, in expanded with Eternus VMAX, that you Path and Cadex swell, you swell, you temporarily lose Eternus's ability, and then it kicks back, which is problematic too. They're not sequencing things quite right.
Yeah. Oh, a little last bit of complaining about live. I think it was yesterday. It was a few days ago.
Yeah.
Certainly a few days ago from posting this.
Hmm.
That I had the classic bug of not being able to select cards. I think it was off of Battle VIP Pass or Nest
Yeah.
Ball. Oh, and then the other bug is the cards like being layered on top of each other, which is like super weird. We can like
Hmm.
faintly see the outline of some other card. Still no idea why that happens, but
Yeah.
that probably happens like half my games or something like
Oh,
that.
does it? Okay.
It's
I
not
don't.
like super noticeable, but it probably happens to a lot of people and they just don't notice it. You need to go out of your way to look for it because it's like weird. It's a faint
Mhm.
silhouette of another card like on top of or like under your
Oh,
card.
yeah. Sometimes, and you see text through. Is that
Yeah,
part of it
you'll
too?
see the text, you'll see all the stuff, I think.
Hmm.
Um I have no idea why this except it's not in like color, but I have no idea why it happens. Um I imagine it has to do with the way obviously it's coded, and
Yeah.
probably the way they store their art. It's probably stored in multiple layers, and so it's putting the one layer incorrectly on top of it. It's very strange. So yeah, hopefully live gets better. We've said this for a while, and it hasn't gotten
Hmm.
that much better really.
No,
Um,
it's better than it was like 6 months ago. I think it's fair to say, but it's not where.
yeah,
But it's
I
not where it should
guess.
be.
I don't know if it's
It
better.
should be better than this.
Yeah.
Um, the one visual glitch that I enjoy is sometimes the top card of my discard pile flicks back and forth between two different cards.
Yes,
Sometimes
I've
for me.
seen that. I do not know why that happens either.
But anyway, but the future of just in terms of what's coming out with live and just in Pokemon in general, we have this special set coming out in January, which with a live ladder resetting, we probably won't get any new decks. Well, we'll get, I don't know what kind of decks we'll get because there aren't really many cards in the new
Wait,
set.
so
It's a special.
the live ladder is resetting?
The ladder resets in January when whatever the shiny set is that comes out. It is.
Oh, I think I know
So
what it's going to be. I think it's going to be the world stacks. Is that what it was last time? I think that's what it
that's what they
was.
did. Yes, that's what they did last time. So
Um,
when they gave us four worlds decks, two at the start at tier 0 and two at tier 25. So
yeah,
maybe they'll do that
mhm.
again.
I feel like that was for the celebration of like something though, right? Wasn't it?
It was the celebration of the beta becoming global, which was a
Yeah,
joy to us all. And of course, we also got that as our deck boxes and sleeves that we cherish so much.
yeah. So
Um, but
anyway,
th- but then but then what happens then in March,
yeah,
the next expansion comes out and probably rotation happens at that time. It's suspected, but not known.
yeah. And that leads us perfectly, maybe, to our next point, which is when
Hmm.
Paradox Rift was revealed, or when what we just kind of assumed was Paradox Rift, they obviously revealed the
Right.
Paradox Pokemon, and I believe this was at Worlds or around
Yeah,
Worlds.
yeah. I believe it was a video at Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they showed an Ace Spec card, or like a silhouette of an Ace Spec card.
Yep.
And we kind of assumed that they were coming together, but obviously they didn't. We haven't seen anything about Ace Specs, at least at the time of this recording this,
Right.
which isn't that far from when we're releasing it. But uh, and so we haven't seen anything from them, but presumably they're coming and probably coming in our March, like the first main expansion of next year. Do you think?
I think so. I mean, we're halfway through the year of since the Scarlet and Violet, right? We're halfway through
No,
that set, aren't
what?
we? I think we have four Scarlet and Violet sets have been released, right?
But usually it's 12. Like,
Well, the first year of Scarlet and Violet, this block, the whatever letter block it is, in that sense, right? We're halfway through
no, wouldn't
The
we
G,
be
aren't
all
we?
the way through it?
The G block?
Yeah, wouldn't it be done essentially?
When now?
Yeah.
I don't know. All
I
right. Well,
think
anyway,
it's the whole the block is the
oh, the
year.
calendar year. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
it's
you're
not
right.
it's
You're
not
right.
the it's
It's
not
out of
based on
sync. Yeah,
worlds.
that's true. Okay, so I take that back. So, but yes, so I think right. It won't come out in the mini set. I don't. That would be a big shock.
Yeah, and we've had most of those cards revealed as well,
Yeah, they've been
or all of
released in
them.
Japan, mostly in Japan. Which ones we get in released internationally probably isn't fully identified, but I think the pool is identified. But there's more Japanese sets coming out before the full R set in March that we're going to be pulling from. So
Yeah,
probably see Ace Specs.
yeah, and I think we know essentially nothing from that set, which is fine. I mean, Paradox Drift
Yep.
obviously wasn't that long ago, so
No.
yeah. But speaking of Ace Specs and these types of
Yep.
different mechanics, well, I guess I'll just say what Ace Specs are. Ace Specs were all items. I'll put an asterisk next to that, but they are essentially all items.
They were
Uh,
items when they were
yeah,
printed.
they were all items when they were printed. And then they all say you can only play one Ace Spec card in your deck.
Right.
Um, uh,
Like Radiant Pokemon for people that haven't been playing that long.
yeah, they're
Right. You can
essentially
only play.
the same.
Yep.
That being said, as I said, they are like kind of items. As you said, they used to be all items. Some of them are tools.
Right. Yep.
Um, and then they came out in the black and white era, and I guess the plasma era. I'm not super familiar with all the sets, but yeah, they were near the end of the black and white era, and they're coming
Mhm.
back in presumably in a similar way. First of all, do you think they are going to bring back tools? Like, what types of cards do you think they're going to be? Are they all going to be items, or are they going to have like supporters and other things?
It's a good question. I'm assuming not supporters. I mean, because these are very powerful cards. We start to talk about some of the specifics. So I think one super powerful supporter could be probably would be too overwhelming, right? Because supporters are pretty good already. Um, so I'm guessing items, maybe tools, but like you said, the tools are very Pokemon specific, so they were less impactful at the time. So I'm
I
probably just
guess
items.
they were pretty good. One was good.
Okay.
Or I guess two were.
Do
Anyway,
you
so
think they're just items? Is that your thought?
no, I think they are going to print tools. Uh,
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of weird because they're now not all one type of card, but
Right. If
yeah.
if the tools you think will be Pokemon specific like they were before?
Well, not all of them were Pokemon specific. I think
Okay.
the best there are two. There are I think four. Yeah, I think there's four top Ace specs. We're going to talk about I think all of them
Yep.
some, but there's four top ones. Two of them are tools. One of the tools was Pokemon specific, which and they're playable and expanded now, but the tools that are Pokemon specific are all bad because the Pokemon aren't like good. And expanded, but then
Right.
the
But the
the other ones
general,
are good.
the regular items that are still items are those strong ones are still very good. I think they fixed it if you're playing live. That I think that items are now the aspects are under items. They used to be under Pokemon.
Actually, it was I think only some of the Ace specs were under
Oh,
Pokemon. I
was it
think,
split?
yeah, I think it was split, but I
Okay.
think it's right now.
Okay.
Um, and I'd say in terms of power level, you said that supporters obviously are generally stronger than items. These items are
Yes.
essentially the power level of supporters. Um, Two of the
Yes.
most notable ones are just supporters that are or have appeared as supporters but are items. The same effect as supporters, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a supporter printed on an item is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you can only have one in your deck because you could do unlimited ones per turn otherwise, which would be problematic. The other nice look, live is flawed. Fortunately, the economy in live is better. In PTCGO, the top ones were very expensive to get, I will say, because they were super powerful. In live, they're cheap to get, which is that at
Like
least
how
that's a
cheap?
plus. In live,
Yeah, yeah.
they're just items, so at most they're 400, I
Wait, they're
think.
just regular items?
I think so.
Ah, okay.
I'd have to take a look. I haven't crafted them all, so I believe they're pretty cheap.
Okay, that's cool. I hope they're cheap. Honestly, I'd say if they're even, I said they could be like 1,000. I wouldn't be like saying that's outrageous. That's still much cheaper than PTGO, where they were like unaffordable. The best
It
ones.
was right. The best ones were like what 40 packs or 50 packs or something like that, or maybe
Yeah,
more. I mean,
possibly more. I don't know. It was a lot. It was like you need to like essentially spend because the way the PTGO economy worked was pretty much you need to grind a bunch when a new set came out,
yeah,
and you could probably spend all that stuff you grinded for on getting an A spec.
Mhm.
Like one of the maybe like one of the top the good Ace specs. But anyway, so which Ace
Right.
spec do you want to start on? Should we just go in order?
Uh, sure. Well, assuming our order is the same, which is G Booster, is that the first one?
Well, I'd say the other one, like new to old or old to new. Sorry.
Ultra New, so Gold Potion,
Yeah.
which is an okay one, right? You heal 90 from your active Pokemon, which is obviously good for an item. Obviously, if we had that as a regular item, you could play 4 of and didn't have to bump out your other Ace spec. It would be you'd play it, but I'm not sure this. I don't know if this saw play or not. Do you know?
I don't think I saw very much play. I mean, it's like okay. We're gonna talk about some that are like super good. I think it's playable. Um, it or was playable, but it's just not obviously like insane because there are items that heal this much, and then obviously our supporters.
Yeah.
Do, do you think so? If this came out now as an A spec,
hmm
this wouldn't really see any play, right? Assuming we had like the other A specs.
Um, I don't think so. I mean, Snorlax could stall is good. Would you put it in that over
I don't
something
think
else?
so. No, I think the other. Well, no. There's one that's definitively better.
Okay,
Um,
so probably. Oh, by the way, I looked it up. It costs 600 credits to craft, so a little
okay,
more than I
that's
thought,
that's
but not bad. The same as an EX
okay. Yeah,
Pokemon.
that's very fair. I'd take that.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd say this. Do you think this is gonna? Well, first of all, do you think they're going to reprint some of the A specs? I think they are.
I think so. I mean, I think so. They're very iconic, and people know a bunch of these cards for what they are. So I'm assuming they will. The question will be, will they print the very best ones or not? That's probably the big question, right? Because there are a couple that were super good, and if that's what they reprint those, it'll push out everything else. I
I'd say
think.
those are the iconic ones. Like people
That's
aren't
true.
like Gold Potion. When people think Ace specs, they don't think Gold Potion. So like this
Fair
is
enough.
if this is like the power level, like this isn't outrageously like bad. Um,
Right.
do
Well,
you think they're gonna reprint Gold Potion directly, or I'd say they should probably buff up the healing some.
yeah, it's not adequate. Certainly, Pokemon HP is higher and damage is higher, so that should be increased if they do it.
Yeah, I'd say it would be to like 150 maybe. Would that be a good number?
Maybe. I mean, it's higher than I would have thought, but maybe.
What would you say? What would you say would
I
be
would have
like
said
an
like 120 was the number I would have
yeah,
said
I
just
think 120
naturally.
would make more would be what they did. I think 120 wouldn't be enough. Um,
I, yeah, I probably still. I don't think I'd play it, I'm not sure if any deck would want it in that case.
yeah, we're kind of thinking of I'm thinking of like a Seer Gudra. Um,
hmm
and yeah, like 120 would be good. I don't know. I think Gold Potions as a concept is fine. Obviously, it's not a very interesting card, but it's fine.
Right. It's boring. There's other cards that do it. It just does more. Right. You can heal 30 off an item, so now you heal 90 instead.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I don't think there's too much to say about Gold Potion.
No, no, I think that's enough.
Yeah. Next up, we got Crystal Wall and Crystal Edge. So
Yep.
these are for the Curums. I honestly don't remember. I don't think any of these saw play. So Crystal Wall says the if this card is attached to Black Curum EX, its
Mhm.
HP is 300 instead of like um uh it
It was
was like
probably a big jump, right?
it was probably here. I'll just pull up one. It was 180. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was a pretty big jump. So 180 to
Yeah.
300 is a pretty big deal. And the other one is if it's attached to a White Curum EX, each of its attacks do 50 more to the points active, which is pretty good, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
I think these are. So obviously we don't have these cards, right? There aren't Black Curum EX and White Curum EX in format, but
Right.
this would probably be on. What Pokemon do you think it would be on? Like,
If they did these two, and
yeah,
obviously you'd like to have it related again, right?
yeah. I think probably
Which,
Koraidon and Miraidon, maybe.
yeah, you could do that. I'm trying to think. I mean, Koraidon just hasn't been very good, so
Yeah, but I mean, if it has like, so I feel like
I'm trying.
300
Which
is
so
enough,
which
but it could be more as well.
yeah, because you said the buff was how much? 100
180 to
plus.
300.
So 120 buff, and it was like buffed it by a third. So if you go, so you need to add buff at 150 or more. So you need to go what 350, somewhere
Yeah,
in
I
the mid
think
300s.
350 is probably fine. it's kind of weird because high HP isn't super valuable right now. Like it's fine, but um,
Right. There's a lot of decks that have high HP or that accessibility with these stage 2 EXs, but they don't necessarily succeed because of that.
yeah. Like Gardevoir EX is still probably getting one shotted. It's not always being one shot. Gardevoir's kind of a weird deck, anyways. But
Right.
yeah,
And we have Roaring Moon now, so even if you got to 500 HP, Roaring Moon's just going to one shot you in the process.
Yeah. Um, and then Crystal Edge boosting 50. Boosting 50 is pretty good.
Yeah, but
Um,
just the one particular Pokemon is that I don't know
I
that
don't
that's
know.
enough.
Yeah, I feel like if it's a good card, like I think if it was like boosting 50 to Miraidon, that would be good. Um, I think if it
Yeah.
was boosting 50 to Miraidon, it wouldn't be as good. Because obviously, like,
Well, 50 is not. It needs to be 60, right? Because it does 220. You need to get to 280.
I do think six would definitely be better. I think 50's okay. There are ways of doing additional damage. Like, because we don't want these to be super broken. But yeah, I'd say probably 60 would be better, and then
Because I don't think it would also make Miraidon. Look, Miraidon's a solid deck anyway, but it's not an earth changing thing to go to have
yeah.
one tool that could do 60
Yeah,
for the
I don't
deck.
think we want to like. I don't think tools should make. I don't think the tools should like break the game. I think they should be
Yeah,
good, but like I think a broken game is just like essentially by definition bad. But yeah, I
no, I
think
agree. I mean, kind of how the Radiant Pokemon, which we may talk about some of those too, right? There's a couple that are mostly used and they're good, but they don't. It didn't turn the game upside down either, which is a plus.
yeah, I do. Well, yeah, definitely.
Well,
Reading Cringe is very good. I'll say.
it is very good, and obviously, like Radiant Greninja and then Radiant Charizard 2, Radiant Greninja gets played a ton, right? It's kind of like there's this one or two Ace Specs, which we're just about to get to, that like dominates over everything else, and kind of Radiant Greninja's in that slot, in that
Yeah.
regard.
I think we should actually. I want to skip over. Let's look at
Okay.
Victory Piece, G Scope, and G Booster real quick.
Okay.
Um, so apparently there's a card called Vic. I don't like know these cards very well. I know one of them, but so Victory Piece. If this card is attached to Victini EX, Victini EX can use just attacks regardless of the amount or type of energy attached to it. So that's
Which,
pretty interesting.
yeah.
Obviously, it's
And these
good.
are capital EXs just in case, right? So even if they were to come back, they these are different than our current EXs.
Yeah. So I think that, but I think like that's an interesting gimmick.
It
I'm
is.
looking at the
It's
cards. No, and it's not a good card. Okay. It's because its attack cost is fire colorless, which is obviously, um,
it's
that's
a
not
fire
crazy.
Pokemon, so right, you can get the energy type on.
I
I mean,
think
it would
if,
work with the Terra type, right, where you're changing type maybe, and then you could put it in something different, maybe. I don't
yeah,
know.
or even a non-Terra Pokemon, like if it's, um, it could be like any card, but I think it would be cool if we see, um, we might talk about this later, but if it was like Paradox piece, you could or like Future piece or Ancient piece, you could stick this on any like future Pokemon, and now its
Hmm.
attacks are free, and that'd be super cool. That would be probably a little broken, but
Yeah.
something like what is it, the Elemental badge, which did for
Um,
Flareon,
Jolteon.
yeah, Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon.
Yeah.
All three of those retreat attack cost is one colorless less. I think that'd be cool and fair and balanced.
Yeah, and again, that right. I was right. Those for the tools are the good comparable, more recent thing, right? It was those were a set of Pokemon, like three Pokemon or something for each of those badges, which are the tools. So rather than being one card, maybe Pokemon maybe being a couple of Pokemon might be better, and just decreasing by one is probably more fair than it can attack for free, unless
Yeah,
it's not that good of a Pokemon to start with.
yeah, but I feel like you don't want like I personally don't think seeing bad Pokemon C play is like fun. I think
Yeah.
seeing like unique and rogue Pokemon C play is fun, but like if a card's like inherently like not powerful and like
Hmm.
not hitting very hard, it's not as fun. Um, but yeah, anyway, Victor Piece that's like kind of a cool card. And then let's see, we got G Scoop and G Rooster. So these are both on Genesect EX. If I'm not mistaken, it won
Okay.
Worlds with G Booster. I might be wrong on that, but it was very good.
Okay.
But G Scope, so these are both attacks, which we've seen.
Yeah.
Rules give attacks, the TMs.
Right, like the rapid strikes, single strike, the TMs, right? And the attack cost is the same for both these grass, colorless.
Yeah. Although I believe the one does say you need to discard 2. But the first one, G Scope, does 100 sniped when your opponent's benched. Which this one did not see play because the deck had a lot of gust and you could hit 100. Obviously, that's not that crazy. But then the other deck, I mean, it was a little harder then, but it was still certainly doable.
Yeah.
But then G Booster says it does 200 and then you discard 2 attached to it. This would not be good, right? G Booster would not be good if it came out now, assuming it was actually on a card that we had.
Right, doing 200, you have many other ways to do 200. So, and it hits through effects. So, I mean, I guess if you're worried about the Mimikyu wall, you put this in, but that's a bit absurd. They'd have to, what? It has to be what? I don't even know if the 280 is enough, right?
Yeah, I'd say
Giratina
300 would
sets
probably
up.
be the right amount of damage for this.
So you can't one shot the tanky stage 2 EXs then still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of what it's meant to be like.
Mhm.
And then I think G Scope would probably need to be a little more as well. Like when I don't know, bench snipe is kind of weird because 100 is enough to snipe not every single prizer, but a lot. But then it
Right, but
doesn't.
Radiant Greninja does 90 to 2. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. So I'd say this would probably need to be like 180.
yeah. That way, like, you can get the single prize stage 2, right? You can take out the Excalibur or something like that on the bench, right?
Yeah.
As an option, I would think you
Yeah.
need to be in
Or
that.
also I think you should be able to snipe the weakest of multi-prizers, like
Mhm.
Squawkabilly,
Yeah.
Luminion. I was gonna say Crobat, but obviously that's not in format. But things like that.
Right.
Mew EX as well. I don't know if you have to, but you should be close to do that. So I'd say like 160, 180. But anyway, I think these cards
Mhm.
are like fine, but they're a little boring because obviously you can only have them on one card. Do you want these cards like this to come back?
It doesn't. I don't really care because there's things you can do things very close to this right now in the game without using an Ace Spec. So I like I said, they'd have to kick it up a lot. It'd be okay, but I'm hoping I prefer certainly cards that are more universal too. For the Ace Specs, we think about the classic ones can go in almost any deck. So
Yeah, and of these G boosters, I said I believe did win the World Championships. It
okay.
was quite good, but
But I assume the deck it was in was good.
yeah,
Without it was a good deck without this card. I have to assume.
yeah, I do believe it boosted it. Yeah, let's. Oh yeah, so Andrew Strada's Verizon the classic Virgin deck, which had Verizon Genesect. Obviously
Mhm.
Genesect is what it worked with.
Yep.
And you could do yeah. I mean, it was a big good deck. And we might talk about it was a Team Plasma deck as well, which we might get to, but probably won't.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
And so, yeah, and
So
that was like a weird mechanic that wasn't very interesting. The team plasma mechanic.
yeah, I mean, I think about it when I played. Right. That's the has the poison cards. Right. I believe that are in some annoying, which are in some annoying decks. Was that expanded
oh
or
yeah,
legacy? I don't.
hypnotoxic laser. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah. Yes, which is like annoying decks to play against.
I guess it was in a lot of decks. I'd say the deck that I think of it in is Dark Box, or
Hmm.
Turbo Dark, which was like good, I guess. But like, and it's a Team Plasma card, but it's a Team Plasma card like how Fan of Waves is a Rapid Strike card. It doesn't necessarily work
Right.
with the mechanic. It just happens to be of the same mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So how do you want to how do you want to go in order now?
Well, do you want to go to the one we skipped? I feel like
Or are you
you
saving
do.
it for last? Which do you
No,
want to
we'll
do?
go to that one. We'll go to that one.
All right, which is computer search, which is the A spec, and the A spec, which if you, that was the one that was just crazy expensive to
Yeah,
PTCGO
yeah.
because it
Arguably
was
the
very
greatest card
good.
of all time as well, I think. But not this
Yeah.
version of it. Because this card is actually a direct nerf of another card. Well, actually, of computer search, which was not an A spec. I don't know in the errata rules if you are allowed to play the old A spec. I think you are you? Do you know?
I don't know. Was the old one an A spec as well, or it was
No,
pre?
no. It
It
was
was not an A spec. This
yeah,
was
it
like
was
pre-supporter and everything like that,
yeah, that
when
was
there were just
pre-supporter.
trainers and yeah,
Like research was like was an item, and
yeah,
there's another card to look at Dow Machine, which is also like an item, and then there was Bill, which was draw two. as an item, which then gets shifted to a supporter. But that was like super, like just draw two as an item. It's just like trekking shoes or acrobike, but essentially better. So
Right, as an item is not bad. So computer search, if you're not familiar with it, you discard 2 cards from hand, which, like Ultra Ball and such, it's not crazy bad, and sometimes it's good. But then you search your deck for a card, put it into your hand. So search your deck for any one card. Now, we live in an age where we've been spoiled by Arceus, where we can search for any 2 cards
yeah,
in
and
game.
Force Seal Stone and Pidgeot as well, which are one, but they're very good
Yeah.
and easy and
So
accessible.
so maybe it seems a less overwhelming as it probably did at the time, right? We have things that are similar to it, but it's still super powerful, right? Obviously, search for any one card.
Yeah, so
Um,
my issue with if this card came out like now or in like the next set,
mhm,
it just Force Seal Stone. Like it's this as what
right,
you play it once per game, it searches for any card. It's just Force Seal Stone, which makes it seem very. It's not bad. It's very good. Force Seal Stone's very good, and you don't have to
right.
play Pokemon V. But like, it's not that interesting either.
Correct. So, I mean, right, for Expanded X, this is just one of the cards to get. But yeah, it's less interesting now. Like you said, it's Forest Seal Stone, but you can play it on EXs or single prize decks. So you play it, or with the V decks, you could play both of them, I suppose. So, which would be a good thing too. Um, but yeah, it's not earth shaking, and it's not bringing something new to the game.
Yeah, or even a deck that plays computer search essentially can do whatever it could have done. Like you could just draw it into the card. It
Right.
does allow, so it obviously increases consistency and it discards, which in
Mhm.
certain decks can be really good. But yeah, I don't know. I think they. Do you think they're gonna bring back computer search?
This is like the Ace Spec, right? This is the poster one that everybody remembers. So I'm kind of inclined to say yes, because it kind of embodies Ace Specs in people's minds.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think Ace Specs are. Um, yeah, I think computer search is the Ace Spec, or one of the two Ace Specs. Do you want
Right.
let's also talk about Dowsing Machine. I think that goes with it. Uh,
Yeah.
so Dowsing Machine, you discard 2 cards from your hand, and then you put a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand,
Yep.
which is obviously very good as it allows you to cover essentially anything, not anything, but pretty close. Um,
Right.
and it gives you access to like another copy of something.
Yep.
Versus Seeker was super good, and it was at the same time,
Right.
but now we don't have Versus Seeker. This kind of can act as a Versus Seeker, which recovers as a porter, so you can like get an extra gust. You can get draw. Essentially, it's a bailout of any situation unless you're Ion to one, in which case it's not. But even then, like
Right.
it's okay. I don't know.
Right. You
It's a
have to
very good
have
card.
2 other cards to discard. I play more Mad Party and Expanded, so I pulled this from a pack. But also this is the better card for Mad Party, because generally it was debatable. There are certain decks Dowsing Machine was better. Most decks Computer Search was better, um, depending how the game flow worked. Right.
Hmm.
There were a lot of cards to discard from uh, Battle Compressor, that just you discarded cards from your deck like at will, essentially, at the start the game. Obviously paired well with Dowsing Machine.
Yeah, although it was kind of weird because you are that well then it's just like computer search, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously for decks that want stuff in the discard, Dowsing Machine's generally better. Computer Search was better for most decks.
Yeah,
But
I mean, Dowsing Machine gives you more sustainability late game. Like, you
yes.
can run one copy of more cards, that you
Hmm.
might, and then if you like have to research it away early, it's like okay, I guess I can get it back. Versus
Right.
computer search is like super turbo.
Hmm.
Um, or if you, I mean, it's good. Like computer search is never bad. It's directly better than Ultra Ball. Essentially, you can't fail computer search. That's one thing I don't think everyone knows. You're not allowed to fail computer
Okay.
search, because
It's
um,
any card, and because you don't reveal it.
yeah, the reason you are allowed to fail Ultra Ball is because it's possible to not have any Pokemon. So it's
Hmm.
more so of an accountability thing, um, I guess. And
Right.
so that's kind of why it is. that way.
Right, like with Ultra Ball, if you chose not to, if you didn't have it, you'd have to prove it. You'd have to show your opponent your deck, which obviously you don't want to. They don't want to make you do that, so you can just fail it if you want. Now there's no way to recover an Ace Spec from the discard pile, was there? I'm trying to think
I mean, nothing
if there was.
like specific. I mean, so in Legacy there was
Mhm.
so Legacy, the cards in Legacy, like the what was there? Heart Gold Soul Silver, I think.
Yes, yeah, Harkness,
Yeah,
yes.
so those cards were never in Standard, I believe, at the same time as the Ace Specs, but in Legacy they were. So you could use
Okay.
the somewhat confusingly worded Junk Arm, which I believe has like the same
Mhm.
wording as Dow Machine, but it actually did something
Yeah.
different. But it could recover the Ace
That's
Specs.
true. But the legacy cards, the Heart Soul Gold, Soul Silver cards are not coming to live. I don't believe. Right? They're pre-expanded, and if you had it in your collection, you've lost them. So I don't think lives Pokemon's ever going to bring them back to.
Yeah, and they weren't really that interesting, honestly.
Yeah, well, and that was a closed meta, right? There was a beginning and an ending, and those are the only cards you could ever use. So
For Legacy.
legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but basically, you couldn't recover these. They were almost, well, it wasn't lost zone. They were almost to that extent. Pretty much, you played it once, you didn't recover it, which was good because they were powerful in that sense.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was one because we can recover tools easier.
Oh,
But
that's true.
so we'll
That's
get to
true.
that though. Then we have Scramble Switch. To me, Scramble Switch is also pretty
Hmm.
iconic, but I don't know if it actually is, but it's pretty funny. It enabled the was it the Dialga V Star, Giratina Garchomp, Electrode EX, no Electrode GX, Bronzong. Um, it had some other. It had obviously this. I don't
Okay.
remember. There's some like combo that would like, oh, and then Cyrus Prism Star. It'd
Those,
like
yeah.
win you the
Oh, to
game.
get energies.
No, it was the combo where you'd like take like an extra turn and like get rid of all your opponent's Pokemon and just like win.
Oh, yeah. But
Um,
what it says, if you're not familiar, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Then you may move as many energy attached to the old active Pokemon to the new active Pokemon as you like. So obviously, Dialga V Star was piled up with energy, so you get the next Pokemon with huge energy.
yeah, the way the combo worked was there's a certain card which we'll probably talk about, which is it was a Prism Star that like discarded a bunch of your opponent's Pokemon.
Hmm.
And then and so they'd only have three Pokemon in play, and then you'd use Dialga V-Star to take a KO and take an extra turn, and then you'd use Giratina and Garchomp. But you need a bunch of energy, so you need 5 energy on your Dialga and then 6 energy on your Giratina and Garchomp. So you just might as well share the energy between them using Scramble Switch. And so you'd have and then you take the extra turn, and then like your opponent has two Pokemon in play, you just discard them with Giratina and Garchomp,
Yep.
which I guess was good. Expand is a bit of a mess, so it's kind of hard to tell, but.
Right, and obviously, and by that you just mean expanded, as it actually is. Obviously, it's even more of a mess in live and expanded.
I don't know if I'd say live expand is more
Well,
of a. I'd say the format itself is better.
because it's more restricted, it's not as broad.
Yeah, you can't like you don't have these absurdly broken cards. Like the Ace Specs are some of them are absurdly broken, but I don't know if I'd quite say they are. But then there's as you said Battle Compressor. I mentioned Versus
Hmm.
Seeker.
Yeah,
Um, there's some pretty silly stuff.
right. The one thing for players like us that we've played with some of these cards and expanded, but we weren't playing Pokemon back when these were in standard. So
Or not as
the
much anyway.
yeah. But so when they're in standard, you have a smaller set of cards, so they're not doing the crazy shenanigans that you think of in expanded. So even if they come back like Scramble Switch, you're not going to pull off a combination like you could do in expanded with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because generally it's like cards from like 10 years, and you need all the cards from like each different block to all like come together.
Yeah.
And then we said Dow Machine. I'll skip the two tools for now, I guess. There's Scoop Up Cyclone and Master Ball.
Hmm.
Let's talk about actually Master Ball first. Master
Okay.
Ball is it's the simplest one. To me, this is also one of the more like iconic ones. And it
Hmm.
says just search your deck for any Pokemon, right? Which is very
Ultra
simple.
Ball,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you don't
Except you don't have to
discard.
discard.
Yeah.
Right.
Same as
It
Pokekid, or is that what it was?
was that. Oh yeah, some of the theme decks are. Yeah, it was your supporter, right? You search for a Pokemon.
Yeah. And so, it's very simple, but it's fine. I mean, it's not like a bad inclusion in a deck, but I mean,
Right.
it's good in fact, but it's worse than like, I'd rather search anything than any Pokemon.
Right. You're probably going to play computer search or dowsing machine, depending what you need to do, than this, which is why. And there were times in the format in standard when there wasn't Pokemon search, really, right? And so I'm not sure if this was one of those times that this
Yeah,
card was at a time with
I don't
limited search.
know about that. I don't think so. I don't remember exactly, but
Yeah, I
and
don't think
also
so. But
playing like one Pokemon search versus zero Pokemon search isn't like that good. I mean, I guess it is
right.
better, but um,
But there were times there was almost no Pokemon search, right?
there
In
wasn't
the
like,
game.
yeah, there were times when there wasn't like
Not
universal
much.
Pokemon search. Um,
Right.
so
So,
then the
but yeah,
types that
but
like had Pokemon search were really good.
right. But when you look at search for Pokemon, Ultra Ball does that. It's like I can't imagine if they reprinted it, they would see much play.
Yeah, I will say though, I think they are going to reprint Master Ball.
Okay. And I do like the image. I like the graphics, so
Yeah,
it's kind of
do
funny
you think
looking.
it's coming back?
Yeah, I mean it's one I recognize the name of, so it has name recognition. So it probably does, unless they wanted to make it to buff it, in which case they should change the name, right?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of bad if like we got computer search that was like different,
Right.
or
If you're
Master
going to
Ball
reprint,
that's
it
different.
should be identical, or it could be some related name if they want to make Master Ball better. Like like today it'd be like search for any two Pokemon, right? That might make it maybe in consideration, or
Yeah, no, I
something
think
like
search
that.
for two Pokemon would be pretty good.
You think
Uh,
is that too good?
it might be too good. It's very
It could
good.
be.
Um, we don't have Dedenne, but we do have Squawkabilly. Like we have Battle VIP Pass, right? But it's
Yeah.
so much better than it's not only usable beyond turn one, but it's also not just basics.
Right. You
Um,
get evolutions too. So
yeah, I think if it was search for two basics, it probably wouldn't be good enough.
mhm.
I don't know. I think
Right.
search for two Pokemon is pretty good, and I don't certainly have a problem with them being good because they're supposed to be good.
Mhm.
That's like their whole thing.
Right. I imagine Master Ball the way it is. I don't. I'm not rushing to put in any decks if it came out.
Yeah. And then scoop up Cyclone. Put one of
Yep.
your Pokemon and all cards attached into your hand. So this is like
We.
uh, it's not
I mean,
exactly like anything, is it?
no. I mean, you have like Sharon's Care, but that's only for colorless Pokemon,
And
right?
damaged Pokemon as well.
And
Um,
damage, right?
so Acerola
Right. There's
was any type but damaged.
right. There's ones that scoop up any Pokemon, but then you discard what's attached, right?
Yeah, so there have been a few cards like that. And then there's been Scoop Up Net, which is an item, which this is
Right.
most comparable to. But then and then there's also Penny, which is basics and all cards attached. But yeah, so this is like Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is probably one of the most controversial cards of recently, I guess. Like it got banned. It's I think the only
Well,
card
because of
like
the
half
EXs,
banned.
though, right? Because it didn't say non-rule box. I think because it said
Y-
Vs and GXs
Yeah,
were
but
excluded.
also yeah, both EXs, both old EXs and new EXs.
Right.
Um,
Before the new X's got reprinted, you could. It was legal and expanded. You could scoop up the old EXs with Scoop Up Net,
Yeah,
right?
and this was problematic with Shaman EX, which got banned, might get unbanned. I don't know. As I said,
Yeah.
we said expanded's like kind of a mess and not really upkept very well, but um, it's very
Hmm.
it's very very good. But I think this card would be really cool, and I hope Scoop of Cyclone gets reprinted. I think I heard someone in
Hmm.
some video say that they thought it was going to be reprinted, and yeah, I think it's a really fun card. It's obviously there's all the scoop up things, which is switching,
Hmm.
healing, and potentially using abilities as well.
Yeah, no, I like it as a card. It's a Scoop Up Net for any type of Pokemon at all, but you only have one copy in your deck, so I think it makes it fair. It's a card that certainly, if it was printed, would see play, would certainly deserve consideration for a number of decks, right? It's ones you and I would think about putting in some decks.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I don't think it was that good before. I think it was okay, but I think now it would be better because like some of the cards a lot of the cards in standard have synergy with Scoop of Net,
Yeah.
or would have synergy with Scoop of Net. Notably Lost
Yeah,
Zone.
right. So yeah, I think it would be interesting, but not overpowered. So it'd be I think nice to just reprint this one.
Yeah. Um, And then we have the tools. So we have Rockard and Life Do. Well, we have other tools, but these are the universal tools. Rockard.
Mhm.
And these are like normal tools as well. I mean, they're Ace Specs, but aside from that, I think they're normal. And
Mhm.
Rockard says if the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active and is damaged by your opponent's attack, put 6 damage cards on the attacking Pokemon. This is bad.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because it's just not good. I mean, even if I were to play like what is the like the V that can have like 4 tools or something, I'm not playing this
Yeah, I mean
in
you
the
can't play
deck
4 of it, but
probably.
oh, you're saying
No, but I
one
wouldn't
of
even
this and
include one
then
copy probably,
yeah.
right?
I would
I
say
mean,
if I could put 4
maybe.
copies on, I might,
Oh,
because
oh
that'd be
yeah, if I could
funny.
have 4 copies, yes.
Like they
But
attack you and then they die. But
right, it's yeah, it's a highly underwhelming card. So I don't know if they're going to preprint stuff like this that didn't see much play, that once again would not see play. I
yeah,
don't know.
it'd be worse now than it was, and it wasn't good before. I'd say
Yeah,
this needs to be. I'd say if it was 12, it would be playable, maybe.
it maybe. I mean, yeah, if they're going to reprint it, that's probably the number it should go to, something like that.
Yeah, because then you look at Dracozolt VMAX, right, which is
Right, that
12.
that does that exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it
and
does damage as well. It's a little different, but its
right,
effect is the same. And so I think
and we
Rockguard's
have the
like
punch that puts what's that put the punch tools at eight
yeah.
four.
Ventral no. So that's you think your Box of Disaster. Ventral Punch is 4. Box of Disaster is
Okay,
8. Box of Disaster you
okay,
need to be a V and one-shotted. Ventral Punch is just anything whenever you're knocked out.
right.
So and I think is Rocky Helmet in format? I don't think it is, but I think it rotated last format, but that was
I don't.
2, which is what this is based off of. Which didn't really see any play, but
Yeah,
yeah. So
right.
Rockard was bad.
Yeah, yeah. Rockard wasn't good, and I don't know if they want to print these not so good ones or not. So, Life Do is a more interesting one. The other tool, if the Pokemon this card's attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card, which certainly has value. They have the with the Sylveon deck, whatever its tool was,
Yeah,
the
the
VMAX.
ribbon badge, I think.
Yeah, they had did the same thing, 1 fewer prize, but this goes on any Pokemon. But of course, you can only have one in deck, so I think that would have value. I don't think it's overpowered, but it's a consideration to play.
Yeah, I think the issue it can be recovered, right? It can be recovered super easily.
Oh,
Um,
y-
I'm trying to think. You have what
yeah,
Roseanne's backup?
Roseanne's, yeah, and obviously you have the stadium to draw tools, so
Oh
you
yeah,
could
town store or whatever.
count. Yeah, so you could stream it potentially. That's obviously a problem.
Yeah. But then I don't know. I don't know if it would be broken. Like the ribbon badge and Sylveon's been essentially a non-factor, which is crazy. Like Sylveon's good, but or it's not great, but it's seen play. But the ribbon badge isn't even always played in that deck. Obviously, it doesn't put it
Right.
like when you think of life, do you think of going from 1 prize to 0? But and Sylveon,
No.
huh?
Right, with Sylveon, I
Yeah, you can't do that.
possibly.
Oh,
Right,
and
with
I was
Sylveon,
saying,
you're going from 3 to 2 usually.
yeah,
So,
or 2 to 1.
and right,
But yeah, so life do obviously going from 1 to 0 is a big deal. If you're looping that, then you are invincible, kind essentially.
right. And one of the decks is people get frustrated by Snorlax Stall as it being a good control deck. I guess it certainly could make a control deck that's just unbeatable, and that's we don't want to encourage too much of that.
Yeah, I think this would. Yeah, I think this would see play in Snorlax stall. Um,
Well, it definitely would, yes,
well, you
and
could play
maybe
like
open up.
Life Do or Dowsing Machine, or no, sorry, you could play Dowsing Machine or Computer Search as well, which would also make it better.
It
By a
would,
noticeable
yes,
margin. I think specifically Dowsing Machine allowing you to get a 5th counter catcher, like that just seems not so fun. Um,
right.
but I think Life Do could be cool. Um, I don't know. It's a weird card. But like because it mostly is top lane control, but you could put this in any
Mhm.
deck and it could be good, right?
Right. Yeah, as long as it doesn't make control, I like some control cards. Control being too powerful, too easy is bad, but aspects of control are good. And yeah, and trying to make if it can make single prize decks a little more viable. Right now, they have to take in essence eight prizes, right? Because they don't get a prize that one turn. It
Um,
helps out.
wait, 8 prizes?
Well, 7 prizes, right? They have to
Oh
draw their
yeah,
six
yeah,
plus the one that they don't get a prize to
yeah,
additionally. So it could give maybe some life there.
Yeah. So in terms of like, do you think are you looking forward to the Ace Spec mechanic coming back?
Yeah, I mean, Ace specs were something that were enjoyable in the expanded format before for me, since I wasn't using them in standard at the time. Um, so I liked them. I thought they were good cards. I think one copy of a very good card, it's a nice thing. I think.
Yeah. I think a weird thing is that they're gonna presumably be in format at the same time as Radiant Pokemon, which is like Radiant Pokemon are, as you said, like the same thing, but obviously not
Right.
like the same thing. It's not like I wouldn't say it's like problematic, but it's just a little weird.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Well,
think
before
Radiants have been
because
cool as well, which you said, but there some are better than others.
yeah, well, and then the other one type that's also is the Prism Stars, which we may talk about. But were Prism Stars in format with the A specs?
No, no,
Okay,
because the Ace specs were black and white, and then X and Y came out,
okay,
and then Sun and Moon, the Prism Stars came out. So
okay. So there was a whole expand a whole big set in between. Okay, all right. So
but
they
with
didn't overlap before.
yeah, but then with Prism Stars, obviously they're a Prism Star. I don't think we really need to talk about the Prism Star Pokemon. They're kind of like Radiant. They're kind of fun, but they're like whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, in the Prism Stars, for those who aren't familiar with the mechanic, it's another one where you can only have one Prism. No, you can have one copy of the Prism Star in deck, right?
yes,
But
you
you
can
can
have
have
one of each.
right. So they're different than the A specs and the Radiance. You can have as many different ones as you want, and there were 27. So most decks didn't play many, though.
Yeah, a lot of them were type specific. The Pokemon are essentially all type specific, except for Ditto Prism. Ditto Prism's like super cool. I think it's regarded by a lot of people as one of the coolest cards like ever. I mean, it's not complicated. It can just evolve into any stage one, which is just gives you a bit more consistency and versatility. It allows for some cool things. So
Right. And you
it,
could only
it's
play one in the deck, and you couldn't do it the first turn or the first turn it was in play. So that
yeah.
was
I mean,
good. It
it's
didn't
like
make it
regular
overpowered.
evolution, right? Um,
Right. But it's a Zoroark without having to
except
do
it's
stage
not.
one in
Yeah.
play.
And then it's like splashable Zorak, and then it also so Ace Specs or sorry not Prism Stars
Prism
go
Stars.
to the lost zone instead of the discard. I don't remember if you said that,
No, did not. Yeah,
but that is
good
an
point.
important aspect. You cannot recover them.
Yep.
Uh, that does mean if they got milled, they go to the lost zone. It's kind of
Right.
weird. I think when you look at Prism Stars, there a lot of them are pretty good. They
Mm-hmm.
have their Pokemon supporters and special energy in stadiums. Um,
Yeah.
Thunder Mountain was really good. Like super important
Mm-hmm.
to Lightning, and so obviously if you didn't hit that, like it wasn't great. Dynasty Prism was good. Obviously Pokemon are searchable. Stadiums are not really searchable. Um, but
Right.
do you want to talk about
Uh,
the Prism Stars, or do you think
yeah.
they're obviously
Well, just
pretty different?
well, the other thing with the stadiums is they don't get bumped by an item or a supporter, right?
Yeah.
Which was a big deal. So you had the only way to bump it generally was to bump it with another stadium. Um, so they would stay in play better than typical stadiums, which was a factor.
Yeah. One
Um,
thing I want to say about the life do and cards like that, you can in the
mhm,
current meta you would be able to lost vacuum them as well, which would be a big deal,
mhm.
potentially.
Right. So you can't get rid of it that way. So,
Or well, you can't get it back. Oh no, I was saying with the like life do with the tool, the Ace Spec
oh, you
tools.
couldn't get it. Yeah.
But
Okay.
then yeah, you can't bump them. You can't bump the Prism Star stadiums with lost
Hmm.
vacuum if they were in the same form, but they're not.
Right. I mean, I'll just we don't want to get into the specifics of the cards because there's a lot of them, and they're not coming back. At least not immediately. Maybe down the road they will. I believe there was Prism Stars for all the different types in the Pokemon, as I'm kind of skimming through, which is nice, kind of like Radiance in that regard. Um, but so in energies, trainers, and Pokemon. So it was nice that they had the full range.
Yeah, I will say Super Boost Energy and Beast Energy, both Prism Star cards, are pretty
Hmm.
cool cards. I would not be opposed to seeing those appear, not identically, certainly not Beast Energy identically. That wouldn't do anything. But Super Boost Energy, Prism Star, or something like some Paradox
Hmm.
Energy, Prism Star, would be cool to return as as Ace Specs. I think energies as Ace Specs could be fine. I think that's special energies can be good, but I don't think they're defining of the game in the same way that like supporters can be. I don't know if I'm wrong in that, but that's my thought.
If they wanted to put some energies in the Ace Specs coming up,
Yeah.
you'd be good with it. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And I don't know. I assume they're not going to do Pokemon for the Ace Specs like they were Prism Stars.
Yeah, I think that'd be weird. I don't really want that because then they're very much overlapping with Radiance.
Yeah,
And they could be cool, but I honestly the Radiance were okay. They're cool, but like Radiant Greninja is just so much better, and it's like the most universal as well. So
right.
it's like
Yep.
if you're not sure which one you want, you probably want Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, just make sure don't run into stall if you're not can't attack with it,
Yeah,
and it can't stream attacks anyway. So it is a question there, but otherwise, yeah, it's very good.
yeah, but that's probably true with most of the Radiants anyway. Like Radiant Alakazam or Radiant Serena, you're not attacking with those in your decks anyway, unless you are that type.
Right. I mean, as I'm looking at the Radiants here, which everyone knows, there's 15 of them. What have I played? One, two, there's 3 or 4 that I kind of play some. Radiant
Wait,
Alakazam goes in
which
decks. Radiant Greninja, obviously. Radiant Charizard, definitely. And then Radiant Alakazam.
I know you
I
said
would say
that
those.
twice.
Which one?
You Radiant Alakazam, you said twice, I think.
Well, for 3. So
Oh,
Greninja, Charizard, Alakazam. Those are the
yeah,
ones I play mostly. Maybe Serena a little bit. I
yeah.
played
Serena's
Jirachi as well.
yeah.
But
Radiant Hisuian Sneasler is coming back as well. In the cloth deck
oh
and
yeah,
in
right.
you
Yeah,
could
the
play it in.
poison.
I guess people don't play
That's
it in
true.
Roaring Moon, but you could.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
That's true. I
anyway,
played that one too. But yeah, a lot of them. Oh, and I kind of like Radiant Heat Train. But anyway, but most of them, even half of them, even I pretty much ignore. I
yeah.
would say.
Anyway, so I think I want to talk about now the ancient and future,
Hmm.
the paradox Pokemon take a bit of a turn because they were
Okay.
revealed together. The paradox mechanic has been, in my opinion, well, first of all, I want to hear your opinions on the mechanic so far because we've talked about it a
Um.
bunch, but like,
Right. In our last episode, we talked about battle styles, and it's similar to that, obviously, because it has Pokemon trainers and there's not energy yet, correct?
no, no,
Just energy in the tool name, but
yep,
for whatever reason. So yeah, I like it. I think it brings a good thing to the game, and I'm glad that we are getting definitely more. Right when the first came out, we weren't sure. It seemed like there'd be more, but we weren't positive. So now we know there's more coming. So it's a good thing.
yeah. I would say I've been a little disappointed with not the cards. I think the cards are cool. I think
Hmm.
let's see which I've seen. Iron Valiant, Screamtail, Iron Hands, Brute Bonnet, and
Hmm.
Roaring Moon. Brute Bonnet hasn't seen. I guess it's seen a decent amount in like Cloth.
Right,
They're
but
all
not in
pretty
Roaring
cool.
Moon. Which
It sometimes sees play, but not always. I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't necessarily have synergy with it either. Um, I would say though that like they're not really as you said, they're not like they don't work together. They're not a cohesive unit
right.
at all. I don't think they all have to be, but I think there should be some sense of that cohesion,
Hmm.
and there isn't. So I think and also there's apparently not going to be evolutions. It appears,
Hmm.
which to me is a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
And there isn't any special energy yet. So I think I really want a special energy for them.
Right. I mean, it's ancient booster energy capsule, future booster energy capsule. How can it not? How can there not be an
Mhm.
energy that
Yeah.
this ties
So I
into
think the reason it's that way is it in the video game it's just
the
called
video game?
booster energy. Um,
Okay.
but it's a tool. Like it's an I think it's called a held item, but it essentially functions as a tool, which is why it's that way. If it was just called
Okay.
booster energy and it's just a tool, that'd be
Hmm.
I think worse. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, I think it's like the logical way where it makes sense like that. But
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
do think we need some energy.
You need some energy. We only have the 2 supporters,
Yeah,
and they're good
we're gonna see
supporters.
future booster energy.
Exactly.
Um,
That's what I'm hoping for, right? Just like the all those rapid battle styles energies too. What was what and what worked with what. But anyway, yeah, just basics is disappointing. Like with the battle styles, obviously they their decks would pair together with certain groupings, and they had flexibility. And there are a lot more cards, right? I don't think we're going to get as many in here as the battle styles. I
It's
can't
kind of weird
imagine.
because Battle Styles was 1 year, essentially just 1 year, and that's
Right.
clearly not what they're doing with Paradox Pokemon, because it came out at the end of the year. So I don't know how many
Right.
sets. I don't know if we are going to get Battle Style. We could get, or not. I don't know if we're going to
It,
get.
the paradox.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get Paradox throughout the whole of next year. I would be shocked if we do. I don't expect we're going to get them beyond the next year, but I think that's probably fine.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we're not going to get a ton of them. The next set, right, which the next release is in Japan, and our next full set in March will tell us a lot. Are they going? We're getting some. We're getting some paradox within the special set, correct?
And no, I don't think
Or
so.
no, we're just
Oh
getting
yeah,
some
we are.
Terra.
We might be. Um,
Or maybe not. Or
I
maybe
don't
I'm
really
thinking
remember.
we're getting some Terra Pokemon with that. That part's confirmed.
Okay, maybe. I think we are getting. There was a Great Tusk and a
Okay.
Iron Treads revealed. That was
Hmm.
Paradox. I don't remember if they're coming in.
The special
Um,
set or the full set later.
yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'll check on Justin Basil's
Hmm.
website. To see what we know. So we get Oh yeah, so Temporal Forces, which Temporal Forces sounds like Paradox, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like
So that's the next full set?
yeah, that's next full set, which I guess is
In
confirmed.
okay.
And we essentially
Yeah,
don't know anything about that.
we have the date and a name, I think, is what they know
Yeah.
at this point.
According to Justin Basil, there are Iron Leaves EX and Walking Wake EX are two speculations, and then
Okay.
three gym promos: a Tinkatongue and Garganacl and a Rhyfort. What's a Rhyfort? It's a trainer apparently, a supporter.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember. Okay, yeah, we are getting Great Tusk and
Hmm.
Iron Treads EX. Both those are EXs, and their Paradox coming in the next set. Um,
The
uh,
next full set or the next
next
part?
mini set.
Okay. All right.
So that'll be fine, I guess. But then we only have a few left. I think those are. Um, so first of all, do you think we're gonna get Koraidon and Miraidon as Paradox Pokemon?
I I'm not sure. I think I don't know. Pokemon might surprise us either. I think it could go either way, personally. They
Yeah,
don't always do those things as expected, so I'm not sure. But they're bringing some into things, so I don't know.
yeah, it's kind of weird. They're kind of pseudo Paradox Pokemon, and they've also already each had I think one single prize, or if they had I don't know, but then they've also each had two EXs already. So I feel like
So they've printed as many cards as you generally expect
yeah, I
of
guess they
that.
did print like three Zacian Vs, is that right? And three Zamazenta Vs.
That's true. Yeah,
So I
something
guess it's
like that.
possible because they had the base set Vs,
Hmm.
the Social base set, which are both very good. They had the Celebrations ones, which were different types, and then
Yep.
they had and the other ones are the V Stars.
Right.
So, but those were like later. Those were spread out a bunch. I don't think we're
Right.
gonna
That's
have
what I was
like
saying. Yeah, they were spread out. They were very come at very different times. So it might be all we're getting. So, but even if we get those or not, we're not going to get a ton more
yeah.
of
Well,
these paradox
there is
Pokemon, right?
no, I think so. We are because so first of all, there's Fluttermane and Iron Thorns.
Hmm.
Both of those are, I guess, pretty prominent. Um, I don't know. They're just some of them, and
Hmm.
we are going to get those, and then also the DLC. So we got Iron Leaves, Iron
Yeah.
Crown, Raging Bolt, and Walking Awake. I honestly don't know if all those are DLC, but
Hmm.
the DLC will drive the next sets. Because Battle Styles,
Hmm.
Chilling Reign were both based off of the two DLCs. So
Yeah.
I would not be shocked that would correlate to our first and second sets of this year, which would make sense as
Hmm.
um, Paradox Pokemon.
Okay. The other piece, which I think is even bigger than the Pokemon, is the trainers. They need more trainers to
Yeah,
make it really rich. Because like obviously the supporters are both good. Sada's Vitality is very good. Professor Turo's
Professor
secret
Toad is probably
scenario,
better.
it's more universal, right?
Yeah.
It goes into things partly just to counter stall. Sometimes people are playing it just for
Um,
that,
yeah, I guess it's not the best.
as
I
well
mean,
as to
Meteor
getting
is a better
damage.
counter to stall.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting a Pokemon damaged Pokemon out of play, or Squawkabilly, something that you just don't want sitting around, is a good thing. But I think they need some more trainers. Ideally some more supporters, and the other trainers, They have the 2 capsules, which are fine, and then Earthen Vessel, which is really good for a lot of things, and then Techno Radar, which I don't remember what that one does. I got to look at it. So
It's search
that one,
discard 1, search for 2 future Pokemon, which
future.
is fine. I
Okay.
mean, I play it some. It's just fine.
Yeah, if you're doing future, right? Yeah,
Yeah, if
I
you're doing
haven't
Iron
done a lot
Valiant.
with the Paradox yet, but obviously Earthen Vessel splashes in a lot of decks.
Yeah, Earthen Vessel is really good. Arguably the best card from the set. I think it's either
Hmm.
that or Counter Catch It, right? Um,
Yeah, I think yes, and yeah, I was for me to be counter catch, but yeah, they're both very good
um,
and
yeah.
very universal.
So I think there's not too much else to say this episode, right?
No, I think no.
But there's
So
one new card that's coming out in the Mini set that I think I want to highlight for you. I think you might have seen this one already, but I'd say it
okay.
again. It's Nemona's backpack. Put 2 Nemona from your disco pile into your hand.
Hmm.
Doesn't that sound super good?
Hey, what's Nimona do?
That's the hop how one.
Oh, draws 3.
Yeah.
So that's an item to
Yeah.
recover.
Hmm.
It does. You know what you do? You have that, and then you get the two Nemonas, and then you compute. Then you have a computer search. And now you have your 2 cards to get rid of with computer
Exactly.
search, and that's what they're preparing us for with a card like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, honestly, I think it's bad. I think it's not that bad though. Like,
Unless there's going to be like some a Pokemon attack shenanigans, right? And which I would like that, right? An attack that does something weird based on how many of this very mediocre support you have in hand.
yeah, I will say that because there was a card, there's Looker, which is like hop from the bottom of your deck,
Right.
which and there's Looker Whistle, which is kind of like the Nemona's backpack, I think. But the only idea, obviously, Nemona grows your hand. It's not the best, but it does. And then
Yeah.
Nemona's backpack also grows your hand.
Hmm.
So in a deck like Tinkaton or one of those like hand-sized decks, that could be
Right.
somewhat okay, but not great still.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could. So, I mean, like the Snorlax that recovers leftovers, right? That goes to hand too, right?
Yeah,
So,
but
and that's better, probably.
well, yeah, but
With the point.
you're not playing the leftovers down and then like recovering them.
That's true. That's true. So, whereas you play 1 card and you draw 3, and you still have the other one that you recovered of the supporter. So,
Yeah.
So you can work on decks with that. So, but I don't know it's going too far. So
Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully more Paradox Pokemon and such, and hopefully the Ace Specs are coming out soon.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
I hope they're actually like revealed as well. They kind of got like revealed and like unrevealed. Not unrevealed, but they just like stopped talking about them.
Yeah, they're their messaging's weird. That when they talk and they don't talk, and they build excitement and let the ball drop. It's a little odd
Yeah, and there
sometimes.
was the reveal of like Zacian V, but it looked like it had like 340 health. And like it was like super. It looked like it was. I don't remember exactly how they revealed it, but it looked like it was like absurdly broken. Obviously, Zacian V ends up being arguably absurdly broken, but it looked like it was substantially better than it actually was. So
Yeah, when they put together the art for the review for the promo, it wasn't quite how it should have been. So
I mean, they do that on purpose, I guess.
yeah, they try to keep certain things secret, keep people guessing, and get people talking is part
Yeah.
of it. And
I mean, and
but
it works, right? They make a lot of money.
yes,
And people, I like Pokemon. I like Pokemon as well a lot. So.
hmm they know what they're doing in most things outside of live.
Live,
We can
yep.
say so that's the one big exception. But yeah, they built a very successful company. It loved by many, by ourselves and our listeners. And anything else as we wrap up here?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's probably it. We will be, I guess, in the future doing a year-end review of some kind.
Yes.
So yeah, you could comment ideas down below. We cannot confirm that we're going to include them because we might like record because our sometimes recording schedule is kind of weird. But
Right.
we will definitely have community involvement within that as well.
Yeah, we're
So
going to probably put up voting for different categories. We think with
yeah,
things to vote on. But if you have categories you think should be best of categories that we might not think of, put that in the comments below.
yeah. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, consider subscribing to our channels and just checking out the other ones. We have a lot. We have like what 47 is what you said, 48.
This is 47.
Yes.
46 other episodes. Skip the first couple ones probably.
Yeah. I mean, they're fine. I guess. I think that that we talk about some interesting stuff on there.
Yep.
But yeah, and as always, comment down below your thoughts on the podcast, on the cards as well, and ideas for the podcast. And if you enjoyed it, of course, like the video, and subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Check out both the channels. Check it out on Spotify. There are lots of different ways to do it. And we have other content on our channels. But we hope you enjoyed. As always, we're excited to see you the next podcast.
Take care.